Thanks, Jason, and yeah, Paul, fire away. Thanks for coming today as well. Appreciate it.
Well, thanks everybody, and thank you to everyone who's on the call as well, and for the comments in the chat. These virtual AGMs, we've done a few now, but they're always strange because AGMs are sort of kind of one of those nice times when you come together and it's, you know, you do the formal piece, but it's really about just sort of checking in and looking back and looking forward. And but no, they've worked well, and I think that we've had some very eloquent words from James and Jason there. And a few things I'd just like to say before we get into the Q&A. Number one, if you've got questions, then pop them in the chat, and I'll pick them up and ask them. Because I've only, you know, I think that quite a lot's already been said, but I'm happy to pick those up. First, I did just want to thank Chris Brereton. Chris, as he said, he's been here for 2 years now, and he's heard me say this before, but Chris was the first person I recruited from Birmingham City since Alex McLeish when I was at Aston Villa, and I'm really pleased that this recruitment's gone slightly better than the previous one. And but you know, Chris is such a brilliant advocate for the Chamber, for our regional business communities, and for what's going on in Lichfield and Tamworth and further afield as well. And you know, he's a brilliant team member here at the Chamber. And Chris, you know, you've worked tirelessly, and we've been on a journey. We've had a lot of good ingredients around this Chamber, but really have needed to sort of work hard, and James touched on it, to sort of really develop that brand and prove that we mean what we say, and we really do want to add a positive impact for business and regional economies, and then obviously people as well. And you've been outstanding in doing that so far. So, you know, I think it's a nice moment to recognise Chris and to thank him. Just turning to James. James, you know, look, you know, for me, you represent the very best of the Chamber. You really are. You're what a good man. Great business. You know, you touched on it, like the sort of the ethics there, and paying 30 days. And you know, thank you for all that you've done, and thank you for the way that you've done it. For everyone else on the call, you know, James again has taken the role seriously. He's there. He represents Lichfield and Tamworth in the broader group, and working closely with our policy team, and has really sort of driven the points home. That's why he's achieved those goals, because he's sort of been really dedicated to it and to the Chamber. And these things work when people pull together, and when we do, we can actually achieve quite a lot. But the spirit that James has done it with, I know he's loved by the Chamber team, and you can see some the sort of fellow presidents are on the call from all our different divisions. There's a lot of admiration and respect there, and I'm really glad that you're staying on as honorary chair, so we can tap into your experience and the energy that you bring to it all. And I must say, I mean, Chris mentioned Neil, and that's the last AGM when we were at Drayton Manor, and I would say without a shadow of a doubt, they're the most emotional day or event I've had in my time at the Chamber. And James, the way you handled that with just sort of dignity and respect will sort of stay with me forever. And as you say, Neil, I think is someone who's very dear to this this organisation, and just a lot of respect for all that you've done. So thank you. And now we turn to Jason. So sort of a lot to build on, and I think that just before I maybe ask you a few questions, and it is trying times, and we know that, and not going to sort of dwell too much on the here and now. I mean, what we're seeing is obviously some sectors of the economy really being hammered right now. Others actually still progressing quite well, and it is a real blend. It's a real mix. Sometimes I think the media will focus on the doom and gloom because it gets clicks and sells papers. But there are opportunities, and as we come through this period, and we will come through it, there will be a whole sort of glut of opportunities, not least because of such the strange nature of this economic recession, being sort of health driven rather than just systemic. And it feels like for businesses and communities. There'll be a real chance to bounce back and to do so, you know, for those who are ready, nimble, and can sort of, you know, adapt quickly. Then, you know, there'll be some real prizes there. And I think, you know, sort of obviously that goes for business as well. I think that's where, you know, the chamber, what we do, the support, the information, helping businesses to prepare, be ready, let alone the networks that we offer. It feels like well, it may seem a little counterintuitive, but the period ahead is going to be one of great opportunity. And, you know, in the short term, it's support and resilience through these challenging times. Obviously, you know, from the central team, Jason, we're completely committed to all the different divisions, but, you know, to what we're doing in Lichfield and Tamworth, quite frankly, and that's obviously, you know, sort of demonstrated by Chris and what he's doing, but that broader sense of wanting to get deeper. It's not superficial. We really mean this. We've got great links with both councils, as has been mentioned before, and it feels like quite an exciting opportunity. An awful lot of groundwork and good work has been done, and now we go forward. I mean, so you've outlined, you know, the plan, and I think the goals around education and helping to, you know, sort of drive the skills agenda and create jobs, which is what we're going to need. Is brilliant. I mean, just quickly though, just give us a little background on you. You said 25 years in recruitment. I'd have pegged you at about 35, not 50. So you know, you're clearly doing something right. I need to maybe find out what your skin cleansing routine is. But I mean, so just tell us about your business and your links with the area.
Thank you, Paul. Well, firstly, I've always had a career in sales at various level, up to corporate level for about 10 years. And a career in sales, as most of us know, you have to have a mentality of cup half full, not cup half empty. So generally that has helped me through a lot of challenging times. I launched my own business back in 2005, and within the first year of trading, we were having visits from HMRC because they couldn't believe how quick the business was growing, and thought we were doing something illegal. And after the visits, they really understood that it was all about the hard work, passion, and ability of the owners. October 2008, for those old enough to remember, absolutely destroyed the first business, and I literally had a business that was turning over in excess of 2 to 3 million, and at the end of October we were down to $500,000 in turnover. But what it did, it really sort of provided that resilience that we need in these testing times. And if I was American, in the States, people take a different view of businesses that fail, because the truth is most business leaders learn from those times and come back stronger. And that's what's definitely happened with me. After that, I literally built a business that was more robust. Processes, procedures were provided a firmer foundation to growth. And then when I bought my business partner out in 2013, it gave me an opportunity to start going from a lifestyle business to a business that wanted to scale and grow. That's important because that was the light bulb moment that I moved from a small little office above a beautician's to starting to engage with the Chase Terrace Academy, and knew that I needed bigger premises to allow for that growth over the years. And that was the best intervention for myself, is to be introduced to the senior leadership team at the academy, because they're so supportive. For an educator, they think out of the box. And the one thing I have learned, the shift towards comprehensive school to academy, academies now are businesses, and they're starting to think like businesses. And talking to a lot of the senior educators in the area, that provides a massive opportunity for businesses like mine to form closer links. So I don't know if you want any further clarity on
No,
that.
that's great. And it picks up on a sort of a question, I guess, that Catherine has popped in the chat, and we sort of talked about one of the key areas of the chamber, supporting youngsters, and how do we plan on developing links with schools within the area. And I suppose you've sort of articulated there, isn't it? And that's, I mean, across the group, we've got, you know, a good number of schools and academies who are members. And I think sort of, in some ways, we, as with charities, we don't differentiate. And when we don't differentiate out of respect, you know, the services that the chamber offer are there for all sorts of organizations. And ultimately, if you're running any organization, you're a business, aren't you? Because if you're not bringing in more than you have going out, then you're not going to be doing it for very long. And I think that's part of we're able then, you know, it's about driving engagement, and it's a two-way street. We've got to be open to that, but and then we want, you know, schools, colleges, etc., to recognize the opportunities. And for me, it's having, you know, individuals such as yourself, obviously Julie as well, as your VP, you know, who can really sort of highlight those links, bring in others who maybe would there and be wondering, well, Chamber of Commerce, why would we be involved in that? And you know, when you're on the inside, you know the benefits that a good relationship with the chamber, being involved, being active, being engaged, being a member can bring. And but I think it helps having, you know, say, you know, people out and about, and certainly sort of on the ground who are reinforcing those points.
Yeah, Paul, I mean, what I'd like to say is that over the last 3 years, I've developed a proven model with the academy where we take students as young as 14, 15, and we get them in, we offer them training on administration, sales and marketing, database cleanse, IT, a real, they're not there to make the tea, they're there to learn and do a real, offer a real contribution. And over the 3 years, the first batch of trainee students, all 3 had positive results off the back of the work experience. So the one lad now who runs my civil engineering division is 18. He was with me as a 15-year-old.
Wow.
And he probably will be fast-tracked for future phases going forward. One of the guys we actually placed with one of our clients as on an apprenticeship, and the third guy we supported with his application through college. But what's impressive for me is that wasn't a one-off. We've now got 2 other work experience students in the business that are following the same course. And what I'd like to do as president is get that message out, saying it can be a route to a career within your business. And I go back, as I said, I'm 50 now, I go back to the most important time for myself as a Saturday boy in Timpson's shoe shop, selling shoes to men. And that's where I learned all my sales techniques.
It's such a key point, isn't it? And I think where you can demonstrate and show people examples, or you've got, you know, some of those guys working for you who can stand up and do so, then it doesn't half inspire others. Just from the point of view of Lichfield and Tamworth, and I suppose the chamber, you know, spanning both, and we've, you know, long talked. I know James has sort of flagged this up there. They're geographically close, but they have such distinct personalities. And you know, one of the things I think we've been really pleased about is developing close links with both councils, Danny and Doug in particular as leaders, but you know, the teams in there as well. And it's great having representation on our exec committee. I suppose just, you know, a little reflection from you on what, you know, you think in particular Lichfield and Tamworth both need, how we maybe help to sort of cover both, and also just views on those relationships with the council and how we sort of build on those.
Yeah, well, a couple of points really. Firstly, I live in Burntwood, which I think gives me an advantage, because when I'm talking and networking with the people of both Lichfield and Tamworth, it doesn't look like I have a particular favouritism to either Lichfield or Tamworth. It almost gives me a neutral objective to both areas. So that's my first point. The second point is I also chair the South Staff's Employment and Skills Board, working closely with the GBS LEP. And I've developed links with Tamworth Council, because Tamworth Council, a lady called Louise Stoltz that works for the council, she literally supports me in all of those skills and employment initiatives. So that's really sort of helped me develop a network with the people of Tamworth. I see that as a massive advantage. And Jonathan Percival is an active member of that board with the skills and employment. So that just gives me, the presidency is almost like the icing on the cake, and it gives me those two hats to go in to either talk to people about employment and skills in the, you know, as a region and within the local economy, and the fact that I'm also involved in the chamber. Going back to what you said earlier, Paul, everybody I've met so far at Chamber House have been really, really on the ball. And the people I've met in the policy team, they do a fantastic job. So I just think it's a fantastic platform to actually get some tangible results for the people of Lichfield and Tamworth.
And you know what, that's exactly what we're about, isn't it? It's about doing stuff and making that difference. And, you know, from delivering a return on investment, just if you looked at it very simply, from being, you know, a member, and, you know, but just trying to move things along. And again, you know, I think that came across as James outlined, you know, 3 goals and they were achieved, and didn't just happen. It wasn't necessarily easy or straightforward, but, you know, the good stuff isn't in life, is it? If it was, then anyone could do it. So I think that's the mindset that we like. And I mean, and it's, I know you'll do this, and to everyone who's on the call, who's on the committee as well, you know, what we need are advocates, because, you know, we are stronger the more people get involved. And, you know, the chamber, you know, is a not-for-profit. It exists because of members and for members, and within the business community, or the wider sort of community we talked about with education. What we need is just more people to take a look in and get involved. We crave engagement, because with that we can do anything. We've got our own comms channels. You could see, you know, Chris outlined, even just in Lichfield and Tamworth, that reach is ever growing, and therefore carries more and more influence, which, you know, then as president, you know, and as a committee, you know, we say stuff, you say stuff, then it can have an impact, and people will listen. There's quite a precise question just from Steve for you, Jason, which we'll touch on. Just, are you able to test the mindset of young people to see if they'll buy into the working environment? Do you use sort of personality profiling? So that's getting into the day job a little bit, but I don't know if you want to just to sort of touch on that briefly.
In a funny way, I actually see the positive in most things. And with the COVID pandemic, we, as the older generation, are actually moving closer to the behaviours of the new generation. So where we look at virtual interviews, mock interviews, all online, a lot of the younger generation are very comfortable with that. So in terms of profiling, I don't particularly see that we need to be doing psychological profiling as such, which a lot of the big blue chip recruitment agencies have introduced. I just think we just need to be using the technology and thinking outside the box slightly.
Yeah.
So, give an example, with the work with the college and the academy, I do a lot of Dragon Den type scenarios with a lot of the students, and some of the business concepts and the business ideas will blow your brains, because they just think differently. And what we need to do is we need to embrace that thinking. Just because it sits uncomfortably with some of the older members, it doesn't mean that we're right and they're wrong.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes you just need to be a little bit more open-minded, because in 10, 20 years' time, business will look very different. And I think we could actually learn a lot from the younger generation. So a lot of the work experiences, I think, that will come will actually become for people who are within senior positions in business that don't need to travel to the academy. They can put a date in their diary for a Zoom or a Teams meeting and literally have a direct link with some of these students and talk to these students about work and business. So it's actually, I see, an advantage.
Yeah, that's great, Jay. And I think, that, as you say, about the future and change and this evolution, there's going to be opportunities. You've got to be ready to grasp them. And I think, that's what the Chamber's all about. And I think trying to help people adapt to that and be mindful of that change, and sort of sharing best practice, and there's tons of activity around that, and ultimately being a force for good, which is what we want. Right, I'm going to bring events to a close there. We draw the curtain on the Blackman era, a wonderful 5 years. And James, as I said earlier, it's been an absolute pleasure, working with you as president. And as I said, great that you're going to stay on board on the committee as our honorary chair. And Jason, congratulations. Thank you for stepping up. Thank you to everyone on the committee for stepping forward, because once again, chambers only exist because of individuals who decide they want to do that little bit more, give back, have that right attitude, and not thinking about what you'll get from doing it. And hopefully there'll be an awful lot, not least some fun and some great relationships, but it is about making a positive difference. And Jason, I think just in your outline there, you've made it clear that you've got a really clear vision. And I'm excited to work with you and collectively to deliver that and help us come through this tough time and with that recovery. So yeah, I think we're nearly sort of lunchtime, isn't it? Normally we'd be moving off somewhere now for a canapé and a glass of orange juice, but I'll trust that everyone, if you're not in the office, you can walk downstairs to the kitchen and help yourself to a ham and cheese sandwich or something. But yes, well, I think we'll draw the proceedings to a close. Great to see everyone. Thanks, James. Thanks, Chris. Thanks to the wider team. And Jason, looking forward to the future.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.